My friends, how are we doing? Let me tell you how we're going to run this, because some of you are brand new, and yesterday I got the managers, and some of the managers get a little analytical, and they're like, we don't get so rah-rah, but I got everyone here today, which means that we can bring some serious heat and energy. So I just want to say, how are you doing today? That is actually really good. I'm super impressed, but 40% is actually not the way I want to operate inside my own company today. So one more time, how are we doing? So I actually want to talk about this for a second. How many of you have ever does anyone here like to people watch? Yes. So raise your hand if you like to people watch. Why do you like to people watch? I'm curious, why do you like to people watch?
Some people are weird.
Some people are weird. Dude, don't you love the flavors? Yes. Right? Seriously, just call it out real simple. What other reasons do you like to people watch? You like to interact? So you like to watch the way people kind of do peopling. Got it. What else? Yeah, I'm seeing how people solve problems. Super interesting. I sometimes like to watch people make problems. Just kind of, I'm super endlessly fascinated by humans. Humans are weird. We are really weird. We are hell-bent on self-destruction, just like by our nature. Most people literally they've got habits and behaviors to hurt themselves. It's super crazy, except they can't see it, and it's called being human. So I like watching people solve things, but I also like chaos. What other reasons do you like to people watch? Do you know that's why they have a whole show once upon a time called Jerry Springer? Yeah. Literally, it's like, no, you didn't. And then you watch them pour gasoline on it and then light the fire. And it's like, yep, that's some messed up stuff. I never got this one thing where the dude comes in and the girl admits that she was cheating with the other person. And then who's the dude mad at? The other dude. And I'm like, what the hell is wrong with you? Why aren't you mad at the girl? Did you guys have agreements? I don't know. Humans are, what are the reasons we like to people watch? It can be entertaining. What else? You like watching random acts? Isn't it really cool when you peeking on someone, helping someone across the street or grabbing the door for someone, right? It's actually, and then do you like it, Ten, when you get to be the person, right? You have these perfect moments where it's and it's cool when you get to just drop everything and just show up as a stranger and be nice. Any other reasons why we like to people watch? Awkward situations. Do you know how much I love awkward situations? Yeah, awkward situations. It's really easy. All you have to do to make a situation awkward is be vulnerable, which is tell the truth. Most humans don't do that super well, so I like that. Any last reasons why we like to people watch? Any last reasons? See passion. Oh, you like to see the passion, right? We have so many different reasons why we like to watch people, why we follow people online. It's kind of an interesting thing. What I want to talk about today actually is linked very much to the way we show up and the way we do life. And I want to start outside the company, I want to start 50,000 feet in the air. And I want to ask kind of a weird question. It's not intended to be a religious question, but can we just for a moment ponder on what is the purpose of life? Because there's 100 people-ish here, 70 people, we're all going to have different answers. For you, when you look at your life, what do you think part of the purpose of life is? Find meaning. Who said that? Right here? Find meaning. I love that. Have experiences. Experience family. Grow. Oh, create. Evolve. Serve. Find your purpose. Live your purpose. Okay, we're gonna call this a really good list. By show of hands, if you can identify with one thing or more on this list where you'd I think that sounds like that could encapsulate part of the purpose of life, raise your hand. I'm just seeing if there's someone that doesn't have a hand up so I can find out what their purpose is. All right, so what we got here, I want to talk about this for a moment because there is a state of mind required to do these things, to find meaning, have experiences, to grow, to create. Some of these on this list, by the way, they take more conscious effort than others. Because you're having an experience. Doesn't really require a whole lot necessarily just to live life and have experience. But of the things on this list, which of these items do you think require a higher level of evolution, a higher level of consciousness, intentionality to bring about these things? Service is definitely going to take a higher level of function. What else? Creating is a super, super high function for sure. What else? Growth is really, really big. Evolve. Anything else? Finding meaning. Most of these are going to take the red line. And what I want to talk about with you today is you spend like the largest chunk of your life. There's 168 hours a week. And so if you work 30, 50, 60 or whatever hours a week, would you agree that this is where you put like a large chunk of your life and are going to do that for 40 years on this planet? Raise your hand if you agree with that. And so I want to talk about what we're doing here, but I also want to talk about what you're doing the other 60 to 80 main hours when you're not here. And so I want to have this conversation of just how we operate as humans to experience our best life. And I'm going to make an assumption here that you would like to live purpose and that you'd like to live a fulfilling life and you'd like to live a good life. Is everyone kind of on board that that's kind of generally kind of, what we're kind of going for? And now I want to ask you, how do you do that when work sometimes sucks? Like statistically, 85% of human beings in America that work really don't enjoy what they do. I think we probably have hopefully a higher percentage of people liking more of what they do here. But the reality is, it doesn't matter what, I have parts of my job that I don't like doing, right? Where's Christine Graham? Was I not in that meeting last week and literally broke down and cried at the idea of evaluating logistics on stuff? Yes, and just yesterday you sent me a text just saying, can we approve this date? I acknowledged every text yesterday except for yours. I have one blue dot that I just can't hit because it has to do with logistics. I have things I don't like doing. Raise your hand if you have things in life you don't like doing. All right, so we all got some of that going down. Now let's talk about family. It's like, oh, family, the purpose of life. We're gonna live forever together. It's gonna be wonderful. I hate my family. No, for just a moment. Like, does anyone here come from an immediate family with brothers and sisters where you're like, oh, there's some, dysfunction over there, right? Who's got some family where they come from some dysfunction? How many of you inside your own family are like, yeah, we got a little bit of dysfunction as well, right? I'm putting my hand up. I had a daughter a year and a half ago that was suicidal. That was hyper dysfunction. That was super stressful for me, right? Like part of it, the weird thing is we have this adage. It's like we love to fall in love with people and then we hate the people we hurt the people we love the most. Has anyone heard that before? Humans are weird. So we do weird stuff in our families. Work, we've got things that we don't like doing. And then it's like, well, then what are you doing with the rest of your life? How many of you are tackling either stressful situations or challenges or undesirable things in your personal life where you're like, definitely looping on some stuff over there that can't figure out? Who's got some of that going on in their life? Just keep your hand up real big and just look around the room, everybody. Look how much humanity is being expressed in all of our lives. And here's the weird part. The weird part is we're all liars. We don't walk around meeting people saying, I want to tell you exactly what is happening in my life. I want to share with you the good and the bad, the ugly. I want to get so vulnerable with you. And I want to share with you my private problems. Human beings don't do this. Americans above all, we are some of the phoniest fakos on the planet. I would wager that the majority of Americans suffer from something called people pleaser. Do I have any people pleasers in the room? We're all being vulnerable anyway, right? And now, the other half of you did not raise your hands. If you ever change the way you present yourself to be liked by another person, please raise your hand. Thank you. Wow. Jeez, we just went to 95% of the room. All right. So here's the weird thing. We as human beings, especially in this Western culture, we can waste years of our life being stuck in this game where we're inauthentic. If you're a people pleaser, the inverse of that is that you're not very authentic. And authenticity, I believe, if you were to say, Kris, what do you think the purpose of life is? For me, the word that I would add in here is authentic. Because authentic means I am being true to who? We talk about truth. Truth is out there. Truth is in the universe. Truth is the capital T, little t. When you are true to you, you're being authentic. And I wonder if part of life's journey is to wake up to our authenticity to figure out who we are. The problem with being authentic is that we hang around a whole lot of humans that are inauthentic. And if you, is there anyone here that has been on a journey of learning how to become candid and more honest and truthful and actually prefers candor? Raise your hand if you just like telling the truth. There's a ton of us here. I think our world is craving authenticity in such a really big way. But the problem with being inauthentic in our world is that we're surrounded by humans that are what? Inauthentic. So it invites us to go and become what? Inauthentic. And then we become liars again. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because while I would love for you to be a rock star in your role here in the company and would love for you to stay as long as serves you and would love for you to be as successful as possible and help the company achieve its goals and its mission and make money and all these good things and change lives. While I want all that, what keeps me up at wake from time to time is wondering, what about you? Are you growing as much as you want? Are you having the experiences? Are you becoming authentic? What about you? Guys, let's be honest. When I grew up, the average person had one job for 4 years. Today, people switch job every so many years. There's so much change and the world is speeding up. And there's such a discontentment and a victimhood in the world today that a lot of people are having a hard time finding fulfillment and happiness in life. And the only way that we can really, I believe, get to that authentic, powerful, happy life is if we check in and actually start asking the question, who am I? What does the most authentic version of me look like? And with the few minutes I have with you today, this may or may not sync up with Carson's agenda and some of the other managers and the outcomes for the day. But what I feel called and inspired in my heart to share with you is some information that I believe might help you just be happier. Maybe be more true to who you are. Maybe figure out more of what it is to express you. Is it okay if we have that conversation? Yes or yes? Yes or yes? All right, it's appropriate. We're gonna have this conversation. There's two ideas that I wanna share with you today that have had a huge impact on my life, and they have to do with this word right here, creation. If you work here, you're actually called to co-create. Can everyone say co-create? Yeah, together in this environment, we are co-creating something together. When you're at home, maybe with a spouse, you're co-creating your family life. When you're hanging out with a friend, you might be co-creating an experience. We're constantly in creation. And the problem with always being in creation is that sometimes our creations are amazing, but sometimes they also what? Sometimes they suck. And here's what I mean about sucky creation. Can you think of a dynamic existing in your world today that has for a long time that just won't go away but creates pain or unhappiness or sadness? I want you to think about something right now that is still in your field today, but it's actually been showing up maybe through different people, through time, different jobs or situations or relationships. Can you think of something that's kind of on repeat where it's like, damn it, that thing will not go away. It just keeps following me. Can anyone identify with that? Okay, I want to get a couple of shares. I'm asking for some vulnerability because vulnerability is what is it? Authenticity. And by the way, when you're authentic, you're actually being true to who? Just want to share this for a second. I'm really deep into psychology, human dynamics, and I love studying human behavior. It endlessly fascinates me. And they have frequency scales for all the different ways that humans show up. And when you get to the high end of the scale, they have this word that we're all familiar with called love. And love radiates at like a 40. And then there's a word on a different planet that radiates at 5,000. It's the highest frequency. Do you know what that word is? It's authenticity. There's no greater truth on this planet when you're actually being true to who you are and what you believe. So I'm gonna ask for just a little bit of vulnerability because I'm looking for some authenticity that will really help today's conversation. Can anyone share with me what has been showing up in their fields through time that just won't go away and it's pestering you and you kind of wish it would? Who's got one for me?
I had a breakthrough. Hi, my name is Alex.
Wait. One more time. What's your name?
Alex.
Hey, Alex.
I had an amazing breakthrough yesterday, and my limiting belief is I am weak and I'm afraid. And I was sabotaging my life for a long time. Just when things kick in and the momentum is created, and I feel like I hit this compound effect, and I put in so much work into things starting working out, something happens where I get tight right at the very wrong moment.
Yeah.
And I get afraid and I step back.
Yeah.
And I sabotage the whole thing that I've been creating. And it repeats over and over again, and it traces back to the memory where my dad, I was 3 years old, he was yelling at my mother.
Yeah.
And I made a decision that there is something wrong with me. So I believe my old belief was that I don't deserve success because there's something wrong with me because I am unworthy.
Is this man being vulnerable or what? Give him a huge round of applause. What's up, bro?
What's up?
And you've destroyed some things along the way, right?
Oh yeah.
What's one of the most painful things that you destroyed with this pattern?
My marriage.
Yes.
I've worked, I got back from my LDS mission and I felt like I met the love of my life. She's an American girl that served a mission in Russia. I'm Russian that served a mission in America. We met in Provo. I was teaching at Missionary Training Center, and I've put in so much work into, creating our life together. And then something happened along the way where part of this belief went on surface. I'm like, my life is so good, I just don't deserve it. I can't believe that all this is happening to me. I'm unworthy of all this. And I took steps and did something that sabotaged the whole thing.
Yeah. By the way, this is huge awareness. One of the highest forms of our evolution, and I believe stepping into our purpose and authenticity of discovering who we are, is being willing to look at the patterns where we feel the most pain and then ask, how did I co-create this? Where am I responsible in this? And I think that's where we as humans evolve. That's where we grow. So thank you for sharing that, guys. Give Alex a huge round of applause. I love that. We're gonna take this microphone, I'm gonna pass it right over here. I'm gonna have you give us your name.
I'm new. My name is Zach.
Hey, Zach. Now this is really weird. That put a smile on your face. Did you like that?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Did you like being acknowledged that way?
Yeah.
I bet we can do it 3 times bigger. Group, can we do it 3 times bigger, yes or yes? One more time, what's your name?
Zach.
Hey, Zach.
Sounds good. Thanks,
All
guys.
right, talk to us.
Okay, so my girlfriend's parents are addicts. My parents are addicts. I've always had kind of the sense that I can't break that mold. I always like to call it change the DNA.
Yeah.
I've always had like a sense of victimhood up until recently. And I just realized that a lot of the things that have happened in my life, like, were because of me.
Wow.
And the things that happened in their life, they didn't just come out the womb as drug addicts. They done some things along the way that led them there. And I've really I've just had a real big breakthrough ever since I took charge and like pretty much grabbed the bull by the horns and just started saying that I'm the reason why anything bad happens and I'm the reason why anything good happens.
Dude, guys, give Zach a huge round of applause on that awareness. And you can always tell when someone has woken up to life because they're no longer afraid to tell the truth. I was a victim for the longest time until I had this breakthrough, ... drugs coming out of the womb, ... and starting to, like, you just shared so raw and so powerful a part of your soul with all of us. And I crave that. I crave humans that are real. Instead of, when we're inauthentic and people pleasers, there's this drive to be shallow and talk about the weather and things that don't really matter. And then we just waste, in my opinion, for me at least, I feel like life is wasted because we're not talking about what's real and what actually matters. Thank you for sharing that out of curiosity, Zach, so we can get to know you a little bit better. Like, you just shared a beautiful philosophy of personal accountability that whether it's something good in my life or bad in my life, I'm the denominator that is here and you own that. What's one of the other really great empowering things that you tell yourself or that you've learned from your experience?
I don't know, just have common sense.
Yeah.
Honestly, like Max talked about it, it's pretty funny in the new training, but yeah, just have common sense. It's not as, like to do a bad decision, you gotta I feel like you have to consciously look at the thing that you know is right and then just say, no, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Because we all have an inner voice.
Thank you. I love that so much. Listen to that. Preach. Give it up for Zach, guys. I want to talk about Zach and I want to talk about Alex. And I want to do it with a little drawing here. This looks like a what? This looks like a thermometer. Yeah. I tried, okay? I'm going to make this really simple. This down here, this is bad, and this is good. And if I were to trade out these rudimentary words for feelings, help me out. What are some of the lower vibration feelings that end up creating mayhem for us? What are they? Okay, so down here we got shame, we got anxiety. What else? We got fear. Up here closer we got anger. And at some point we got sad. We get past this line though, and things start shifting. First, what are some of the positive words? There's calm. Then we get into peace is way the heck up there. Okay, where else? Okay, love. Here's happy. And here's joy. And here's gratitude. Now I want to talk about all these for just a second. All of these feelings, they are a byproduct of the words that we think. A belief that creates a feeling is in whose power? No, wait a second. Who's in charge of your thoughts? Who's in charge of your beliefs? Yeah, and how you know whether your beliefs in the moment are serving you or hindering you, the clue that you're given is called a feeling. It's called a what? So by the way, when you have a feeling that isn't positive, that's a frequency. It's a what? And what the frequency does is it tunes in to similar frequencies, and like attracts like. So for example, if I'm Alex, and I'm in this pattern over and over and over again, that I believe that I'm weak, and so if something good is gonna happen, I have to tear it down, because that's my pattern. I want to ask you, anger, fear, anxiety, sadness, shame, guilt, whatever, when you are tearing things down but you weren't aware of it, which frequency were you leveraging to sabotage? Which one of these words? Shame. Okay, so when you're in shame, you destroy. You can't build happy, you can't build joy, you can't build peace out of shame. Shame and anger. Yeah, powerful.
Shame, anger, and resentment.
And resentment. So powerful combination. So knowing thyself, what Socrates said the purpose of life. Socrates said the purpose of life was to know thyself. 2 words. For you to know yourself is like, oh, I do a pattern called shame, resentment, and anger. And when I put the 3 of them together and create from that, it turns out that my creations are destructive, which is still a creation. Zach, I want to go to you. When you were in victimhood, which one of these energies and frequencies were you emitting the most? Anger. And when you're angry, what kind of results were you producing in your life? Horrible results. But here's the weird thing, and I just got to say this because I want everyone to get this. There are some of us here, I want you to ask yourself this question. What is your natural state, your homeostasis frequency? I want you to get real quiet for 20 seconds. Close your eyes with me. I want you to go inside, and when you're not around people, when you're alone, when you're just being you, what frequency are you operating from? And when you figure it out, I want you to put your hand up. When you're just like, I think I know what my natural state is, what I bounce around with. 5 more seconds. Okay, eyes open, hands down. I want to hear from some of you. What's your natural state? Gratitude, abundance, and opportunities. It must feel good to be you when you're just being average, like your normal self. Is that right? Awesome, beautiful. What else are you getting? What was yours? What's your natural state? Anxiety. And how does anxiety show up? By the way, I do a little bit of anxiety myself. If you guys saw Inside Out 2, anxiety was the star of the show. I'm like, see a little bit of that in me, right? Because I can create a lot of motivation from anxiety. How does anxiety show up for you?
I just like to prepare for everything.
So you like to be hyper prepared, and let me guess, you like to worry. You like to think about not this moment, but the one that's coming, and you want to know if you're ready for it. And if you don't feel ready for it, how are you going to feel? Scared. Yeah, okay, thank you. Guys, give it up for her. Thank you very much for sharing. Jesse, what's your natural state? Content. Yeah, content is probably up in this calmish area, right? By the way, if this is Jesse's kind of natural zone, what's great about being Jesse? I know, his sexy hair. Even I'm jealous. Yeah, no. So when Jesse operates in contentment, here's the good news. He doesn't operate in this frequency. But naturally, what energy does he also not operate in? In this one. Now, I know Jesse, I see him pump up here, and so he's in a good way. Here's the point that I want to make. Human beings do not bounce around. What we do, if we were to do like a chart of how we shift and change as we evolve and as we grow, we usually start somewhere not so great, and then over time, we go through a journey called leveling up our frequency, learning how to operate in different energies. Now, this person, by the way, can experience joy and peace and love and all the good things, but it just means that they're natural. And here's the problem when you operate under here. Above the line, below the line, that's what I'm gonna call it. Natural states. If you operate naturally above the line, raise your hand. Perfect, hands down. If you operate below the line naturally, raise your hand. Okay, we're probably 60% here, 40% here. And that's just called being human. And it's not like we do a lot of emotional intelligence training. In fact, I don't remember any emotional intelligence training at all and had to go seek it out as a human being adult by myself because I was not raised in an emotionally intelligent home. And it's kind of the human experience that you have tough things happen in childhood and we establish a starting point frequency. And then one day Zach says, you know what? This stuff for me, I'm starting to see the pattern. And the people come and go and the circumstances change, but I'm always the same. And in anger, it's not working. So he says, you know what? I'm gonna take accountability, boom. And all of a sudden his frequency changes as a human being. Now, why are we talking about this? Other than I like to talk about it. Like, why are we having this conversation? It's not purely on accident. What are some of the practical applications? Yes, professionally, but also personally. How many of you agree that it impacts your entire life? 100%, right? Why else could we be talking about it? That's kind of got the big one there. Like attracts like. So by the way, if you're in fear, what will you look for? This is the weirdest thing about being humans. I've said this from stage before, you may have heard it. Listen to it for the very first time to see if you can really get it. Because it's kind of, for me at least, it's a tough concept. Do you know how many pixels are on this screen? Carson, based on pixels today, and this was bought a couple years ago, this thing probably has a gigahertz of 2.4 in the thingy. As Mr. IT, what would you say pixel-wise on this? It's 1080p, and what does that mean? There's 1,080 lines of data up and down, left and right. Now we have things, this student can record things in 4K. Which is like 4 times the things. Guys, I don't speak IT. I'm just trying to understand it. Only 1/3 of humans can tell the difference. Yeah, and then you get to 8K, and then you get to 16K, and then you get to dragging cameras and cool stuff. All right, so the point that I'm trying to make is pixels are a little bit like consciousness. Every second, here's a new one. Here's a new one. Here's a new one. Every second, your mind takes in 20 million bits of information. I think of it a little like pixels, which means that in this second, right now, even though I'm not focusing right here, My mind knows she has blonde hair and that she's folding her legs and she's folding her arms and she's wearing a purple and black and tan dress. Like, I'm picking everything up subconsciously because your brain is a supercomputer. But then your brain says, 20 million bits of information is a lot of information, and we cannot consciously compute all that. So what we have to do is we can only take a limited amount out, and that amount is between 200 and 400 bits. 20 million perceived, 200 to 400 interpretable. And it's all controlled by something in your brain called an activation reticular system, your ARS. And what your ARS does is it says, well, we got to filter. Like, we just every second, 20 million, shoot, 20 million, shoot. There's so much data coming in. What are we supposed to focus on? And it is designed to focus on whatever matches your current frequency in life. So all of a sudden you sit there thinking, I have a goal. I want to double my income this year and I want to do investing. I want to buy this property. I'm going to invest in this thing and start this business on the side. And my wife's going to become a massage therapist. I'm going to do these things. I want to see if I can double my income. But I operate in fear. It's cool. Guys, the goal of doubling your income, is it above the line or below the line? It's above the line. By the way, every goal you've ever set, I want to lose weight. Is that above the line or below the line? It actually depends. When your goals are to get away from what's creating pain, those are low frequency goals. And we are not very motivated very easily. If you wonder why the goals of what hurts the most, you can't achieve the most, it's because producing a positive outcome with a bad frequency is not possible. I'll put it to you this way. Who here has a frequency of sadness that they deal with from time to time? Raise your hand. If your hand is up, I want to tell you something. If you have friends or a significant other or children in your life that you love, and you operate at a frequency of sadness, but you try to go and do something fun with them, like we're going to go to the roller skate rink, let me ask you, can a sad person produce a frequency of sustained happiness by doing a happy activity with another person? Something really important is about to happen for some of you because there's a coconut that's about to fall on your head. Sadness does not produce happiness. Sad people that do happy things that they do in sadness produce sadness by doing something happy. And there's something very dangerous in that. It's because you create an illusion, a delusion, that happy things are now sad because of the frequency that we operate in. So when you have a goal that you want to achieve, you have to produce a goal in the frequency that's above the line that matches, or else you're incongruent and frequency will always win out. Frequency, 20 million bits of information now, and your brain's like, we've already been instructed. Only look for things that match anger. Who are the people that we can get angry at? Who are the people that will be angry with us? Who are the situations and opportunities that we think will make us money, and when we pursue them and they don't work out, we will then be left with anger, so that everything can match and everything can make sense. What are you learning right now? What are you getting? Gold nuggets? Go ahead. How you operate? What are you specifically learning about the way you operate?
My name's Colin.
Hey, Colin!
I operate from a place of anger a lot, from like everything, relationships, everything, like life, school, you name it, jobs. Yeah.
All right. Sales team, right? So here's what's going to happen. When you get on the phone and you talk to certain archetypes of people that frustrate you, you're going to keep your anger as a frequency inside, and you're going to say, I didn't show it. I didn't yell. I didn't scream. I didn't display anger. And your client is going to get in a pissing match with you because people don't respond to what they hear. Have you heard that 90% of everything is body language? The biggest body language is not what you see with your eyes. It's what we feel in our gut. And people are going to respond to that anger, and it's going to affect you. It's going to impact you. And what you're going to find is there's not a lot of people that like to buy stuff in anger. How important is this training? Everyone, how important is this training? Yeah, it's not about me, it's about whose life? It's about your life. It's about the way you do life, right? What else are you learning? Let's get some. Go ahead.
My frequency.
Tell me about your goals and your frequency. Your frequency that you often operate out of is what?
Probably calm.
Calm.
Content. Yeah.
By the way, let me ask you, does calm inspire and motivate people to do things so you can meet your goals and dreams?
No.
Yes or no? Calm inspires nobody. No one says, that's my leader. I will follow him into battle. Let's go. Because they're so serene and calm. Said nobody ever. So this is actually really, really big.
Yeah, I think some of my goals, it's just showing up as the best husband I can be.
Yeah.
And then also just in work and business and stuff like that. I constantly have business ideas or aspirations,
Yeah.
but it's hard getting to there if it's just such a calm thing, not having that mindset of wanting to achieve that greatness.
Can I just share an idea with you in love that might hurt just a little bit potentially?
Yes, go for it.
Your wife's dreams, the romance that she wants, and the excitement that she's looking for will never come from your natural state. And I believe the deepest definition of love is one's own willingness to authentically change, to adapt to the wants and needs of the person they claim to love. Which means what?
That I need to figure out how to change my frequency.
And if you don't, it's okay. She just might leave you. No, just I didn't want to go that extreme, but for some of you that could be true in the room. Like, by the way, human beings that operate in different frequencies, I'm just going to say it. Like, I'm sure you have a wonderful wife and everything's great and wonderful, we're good. But what I'm communicating is that your frequency is touching what in life? It's touching everything. But the most important thing that it's touching is not a career, not a person. It's what? Let me tell you about Ivan Illich. Have you guys heard the story of Ivan Illich from Tolstoy? Maybe you have. He's Russian. He wrote this great book. It's 50-50 good. Ivan Illich, that was so rude of me. I will do it again. Ivan Illich is a story of this young man in Russia who was this brilliant musician. And he loved to compose music. And his parents strongly discouraged him from composing. But he stuck with it until he met a woman that he fell in love with and married. And she wanted a different, I'll use my words now, she wanted a different frequency. And she put a lot of pressure on him and said, I actually want you to become important in society. I want you to become something great. This music thing, maybe it'll go nowhere. We'll be probably poor forever. And so he went into law and he became a chief judge, a magistrate, and he had a very decorated career. And he was significant in the community and he was appreciated and he lived a life that was his wife's dreams. In his old age, fast forwarding to the end of the book, he was on his deathbed. And she was sitting next to him. He was not a happy man. He had never been really truly happy in his life because he was making choices, not for him, but for who? For her. He never really got to meet himself. He just got, as a pleaser, to be everything she needed and wanted. And his final words on his deathbed, he looked away from her and said to himself, what if it was all for nothing? And he died with all of his music, with all of his joy trapped inside. We're having this conversation. Now, one more thing I want to share with you. We're having this conversation because I want to invite you to evaluate where you are frequency-wise, and then where do you want to go? Because if you believe that the purpose of life is finding meaning and creation and evolving and growing and finding a purpose, how many of you would agree that this is going to impact it? Your journey on frequency is going to impact these things. Raise your hand and say aye. All right, so can I just share with you then one thing that you can do to alter your frequency? Is that okay? Yes or yes? Yes. Are we doing okay? Yes. Are we having some fun? Yes. Okay, cool. what I want to hit right now, I want to briefly just talk about then how you and I are creators. How do we create? And I want to share the process of creation with you because it goes like this. Creation begins when you have a what? When you have a what? When you have a thought. And you're having how many of them a day? 70,000 measurable thoughts a day. And these thoughts, what they do is they create something called a frequency. Let's take one of the 70,000 thoughts. Who had something happen today that wasn't so pleasant and then they had a negative comment in their mind or out of their mouth? Who can just think of something that happened? What was yours? What's your name, first of all?
I'm Mitch.
Hey, Mitch. What happened today?
I got my 5-year-old daughter is in kindergarten, and you know she's always like, I just want to sleep a little bit longer, so I'll let her sleep until like 30 minutes before we have to go. And she sometimes she just doesn't want to get dressed or put shoes on, or she hates getting her hair done, and so just sometimes the mornings can get a little frustrating. And so it was just out of frustration. It was like, okay, Paisley, I need you to get your shoes on right now. I'm sick of yelling at you all morning. Like, let's get this going. And just, I know it creates anxiety for her and creates that going forward into her day. And like, I just am like, oh, come on, Mitch, do better.
All right. So I'm getting there some of the shame and the guilt, but he was super authentic, and let's give him some love. Thank you, Mitch, for sharing that. Thank you. Here was Mitch's thought. I'm sick of arguing with you. Now, I want you to, all of you, just imagine right now in your mind, talking to someone that you're frustrated with, and then you verbalize, I'm sick of arguing with you. And I just want you to feel into the frequency. Where does that frequency reside on this chart? We're at anger and we're at frustration, right? So, Mitch has 70,000 thoughts a day, but we're only talking about how many? And the thought is, I'm sick of arguing with you, and immediately a frequency in that moment is generated, and the frequency is frustration. Well, thoughts become words. And in this case, I'm positive before he spoke it, in his mind, the mind thinks and wears 4 times faster than you can possibly speak, which is why you can do audiobooks and listen to them a lot faster, because your brain can commute way faster than you can talk, right? Literally, when you listen to the Micro Machine Guy, for those of you who can remember him, you can keep up and hear what he's saying because you can talk really fast. So the thought was first in your brain. And the thought was, oh, I'm so frustrated right now. Like, we've been arguing all morning. I'm getting so mad. He probably had several thoughts. And then finally they came out. Paisley, I'm sick and tired of arguing with you. Those words, when it's in the thought form, it's different than a word form. In a word form, the frequency expresses a lot bigger. Tiny frequencies make big frequencies. Words, what do words become? Words become behaviors and actions. So I just want you to demonstrate in that moment, you didn't just speak it, show me your body language. How did you say it to her? Recreate it for me. Stand up, recreate it for me. Okay, so those hands are coming down. It's sharp, strong gestures, and you don't know this, maybe, but everything is energy. So actually what you were doing in that moment was moving energy. And words accompany it. And so is she experiencing anxiety or fear? I don't know, but it's not a good feeling, right? Your frequency, guess who it affects? Now she's a child. Now, your wife, is she in tune enough that if you were just thinking your frustration and emitting the frequency internally, is your wife in tune enough that she could have picked up on it? Now what is she experiencing? Now she might be experiencing anxiety. She's going to experience. So, guys, what you're doing in here, his wife's feeling it. By the way, the energy is now in the walls. We have to sage the house. It's in the walls now. It's in her. It could next be in the car. And frequency travels tremendous distances. none of us is really sitting and realizing how powerful we are because we take it for granted because we're all humans doing the same thing. But the truth is, the way you think is having an insane impact, like the butterfly effect. You guys heard about the butterfly effect? Something happening in Europe is creating tornadoes in Texas. The butterfly wings, the little flap of one wing, is contributing to a tornado that is going to start in a different hemisphere. If we could actually see the impact of our thoughts and the energies, it's crazy how influential you are and you don't know it. Because you're like, it's just in my head. The truth is it's not. We only think that that's true. So thoughts become words, words become behaviors, and then behaviors eventually produce outcomes. Now an outcome, what's an outcome? How's this different than an action? An action produces a result or an outcome. What's that? What is this? Could Paisley start crying? That could be an outcome. But sitting in the car on the way to school and no one talking because everyone's just feeling like this. That's an outcome. I'm having a hard time keeping things in mind today. And then if you stick with your outcome long enough, this is important. Everyone's eyes on this one. If you stick with your outcomes and you produce enough tears, awkward silences, maybe non-communications, avoidant behaviors, eventually you're going to produce something called a destiny. And it's Paisley 10 years from now saying, I don't like my dad. Now, I promise you, I'm trying really hard not to be just an asshole right now. Because I know that it was just a moment with your cute little daughter, but I want to demonstrate that if you don't change your frequency with time, your consistent use of the same destructive language, followed by the actions producing the same 8 outcomes like this: bad day, bad moment, bad day, bad day. If you get enough bad, what's the destiny? Divorce? Estrangement? Friction? Resistance? Now, here's the cool thing. That was just one of 70,000. Woof. You could do this 69,999 more times, but I know you're not. Like, I can feel from you, brother, you got a good vibration. You're a good soul. And I could also feel, hey, like that was really, like, I didn't like what went down. And I appreciate you for being, what's the word, guys? Authenticity vibrates at a frequency of 5,000 compared to love at 40. There is no comparison. Love is not the greatest force on this planet. The greatest force on this planet is you being true to you. And this morning is me just saying, because I love you, I'm inviting every one of you to just do this. Evaluate your frequency and then realize, whoa. My frequency comes from where? Which one of these? All of them. Everything's a frequency. So I might have someone in the room here that's like, man, I'm crushing it in my career, but I wish I had more love in my life. Do you know why they don't have more love in their life? Because here are their thoughts. I don't get this love thing. And I feel upset about what happened to me when I was a child. And the last relationship I just got out of really hurt me. And what we're doing is we're using our God-given ability to think and to perseverate on thoughts that produce a what frequency? Guys, every result. Now we can do the inverse of this. We can talk about becoming a millionaire. We can talk about getting promoted. We can talk about, losing weight or putting on muscle or positive outcomes or connecting to God and all the wonderful things that we want. But either way, it's the exact same system. I'm going to give you 1 minute. Here's what I want you to do with these 60 seconds. Pen and paper, or use your phone. And what I want you to do is I want you to just journal for a minute. What is your current frequency? What do you want your currency to be? And how are you going to have to shift to produce the higher frequency? Begin. What frequency have I been operating from? And which one would I like to? Like, what's my next step? Do I want to be practicing more happiness, or is it joy? Or am I just trying to get to calm? What's a frequency that will serve me? And then, based on what I'm learning today, what's my strategy? How am I going to do it? And pause. All right, here's what I want to invite you to do. I want you to turn to someone next to you and just share with them what you've been brainstorming and writing down. And you got a neighbor right to your left and your right. It might be 2 of you or 3 of you in a group. Turn to your partner and just share with them, what are you learning right now? Begin. I'd like to hear from a few of you. What are you getting? What are you getting? What are you deciding? What are you figuring out? Connect some of the dots for some of us here.
I'm 10.
Hey, 10.
I, for a long time, functioned in a place of fear and anxiety, but recently have made myself to a place of calm. And one of the biggest things that's holding me back is me. I achieved calm, and I thought that that was where I wanted to stay. But I'm keeping myself back. I am the one that is keeping me from joy. And so I personally believe that whenever we get to that spot when something happens, whether it's really high or really low, it's a rubber band effect. You're going to snap back to your natural state of being. And I don't want it to be calm anymore. Yeah. I want it to be joy. And I'm trying really hard to allow myself to know that calm served me. It got me to a much more stable position in my life, but now I need to work towards joy, and I can only do that myself.
Guys, give it up for 10. 10, close your eyes. I want you to think of the most joyful thing that you possibly can. It's a memory, it's a moment in your life, it's something that excites you, it's something that produces that element of joy that you're looking for. And what I'm having her do right now, I want you to all learn from this. I'm having her practice the frequency she wants. And what I'm going to invite all of you to do right now is close your eyes, and I want you to think the frequency that you want to operate at that is different than where you've been. I want you to marshal it in your soul by thinking of the memories that are the most intensely related to it. And then I want you to crank up the energy flow, because you don't have to receive the energy or the joy in Ten's case at the level of her memory. She can actually turn it up. That's what it means to be at choice and an emotional genius. So find a memory, turn it up. And then what I'm going to have her do in just a moment is I want her thoughts to become words. And because words is a louder frequency than thought, we don't leave it in the brain. We got to express it. And so I want her to just say, I am joy and I embody joy. And I want you to do it along with her. I'm going to have her do it first. But here's the trick. When she does it, she has to say it in the frequency because the feeling is more important than the words. So she actually has to say it in joy. So 10, I want you to just go ahead and stand up for just a moment. Everyone's going to observe this for a second. And what I want you to do is I want you to just enjoy. I want you to say, I am joy.
I am joy.
And I embody joy.
And I embody joy.
One more time, do it again.
I am joy. And I embody joy.
Now do it one more time, but even bigger.
I am joy and I embody joy.
Give her a round of applause. Okay. Practice never made perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. So if she's going to practice, I'm moving to the higher frequency. I have to start by actually claiming it. So it's I am. Right? No greater two words on the planet. I am joy. I embody joy. And I want you to think of what your frequency is. And in a moment, I'm going to have you go, I am, and whatever that emotion is, whatever that frequency is. And then I embody that. Everyone stand up. We're going to do it on the count of 3 all together. We're going to have you do this all together just like she did, but you need to embody it with the frequency. So don't say the words in the wrong frequency. Take the right frequency, match it up with the words, and it's going to be I am, and then that frequency, and then I embody that frequency. Here we go on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3, go. I am. And I embody. Now, I need you to do it 3 times bigger than you just did it, because for the size of this group and for the higher frequencies that we're emitting, guys, we're operating at 20%. So I want you to actually break free from your old frequency. It's natural to want to step into your old frequency and say words in that frequency. They are a mismatch. So I want you to make it even bigger. So close your eyes, find real quick the memory again that most identifies with this emotion. Crank it up real big. We're going to do it again on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. I am. And? Okay, and for the last one, I just want you, just like 10, to do it a little bit more. Give me just an edge. Give me 10% more. Or one last time. 1, 2, 3. And? And give yourselves a big round of applause. Go ahead and have a seat. If you're having 70,000 thoughts a day, those were a handful of them. And I want to tell you something right now. I'm going to end this presentation. I'm going back to Carson. I want to end with a final thought. When you really want something bad enough that you're not getting, I want to give you permission to obsess on it. Obsession is usually associated with, I think, some unhealthy frequencies. But I believe that when you are putting a faith and a focus on a specific elevation, putting more time, effort, and attention into it is what will get you there. This is the game of mastery. The game of what? So for example, you, like me, maybe were raised in a generation where you were watching Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and when you were a kid, you're like, I want to know martial arts. I want to be a ninja. And I did that. And I'm just going to tell you that if you go to the dojo for 3 months, you're not going to be super impressive, and you might have a little yellow, like a little stripe on your white belt. You're not going to be a master. For you to master your first degree black belt will take 3 to 4 years minimum. And then it's going to be another year to get your second degree. And then it's going to be 2 more years to get a third degree. And then it's going to be 3 more years to get your next degree. And you're going to have to be in the game for decades if you ever wanted to become a 10th degree. When you get your first black belt, they say you have mastered the basics. When you get your 10th degree, you are a master. So mastery for me is a very important game of life. If you want to master anything, you're going to have to put a lot of time, effort, and attention into it. And that's what I'm calling obsession. So for example, if you were operating out of anxiety, then what I would do is I would, for a period of time in your life, so the rubber band doesn't snap back, for the next several months, I would identify what was your emotion that you're going to, what frequency? Joy. So what you get to do is you get to obsess on being joyful. I would start the day, that alarm goes off, I'd stand up and say, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be alive. I would say that with joy. I'm so excited to be alive. I am joyful. I embody joy. Joy is my natural state. By thinking it and by speaking it and declaring it in the frequency, in time, you will embody naturally that frequency. I want to just give you proof. Do you know anyone in this room that has a lot of energy and is a bit of a spaz, and a lot of people like the energy that he emits? It's often positive, it's joyful. Can anyone think of a person like that? I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I wasn't born this way. And some people really like me this way, and some people get annoyed that I'm this way, but authentically, I don't care. Have you seen my hate comments online? I really don't. I wouldn't keep making social media if I did. Reality is I'm just here to be authentic. And I'm inviting you to be authentic. And I'm inviting you to consider the frequency changes that allow your authenticity to express the full rainbow of all the frequencies. Literally learning how to express joy and love and peace and happiness, not just for like a brief moment in life, but to experience it as a way of being. That's today's message. And I want to end by saying, if you guys bring this into this environment, that'll be great for all of us. Bring it into your personal life. Bring it into the moments when it's just you. Bring it in the moments where you're with your family. Bring it into your churches and bring it into your hobbies. Bring it into your life, because at the end of the day, you don't want to be like Ivan Illich, who said, I don't really know who I am. Maybe it was all for nothing. Instead, I chose with my God-given agency to select a frequency and master it so that I could enjoy being me in that way. Thank you guys. Appreciate you.
Woo! Thank you, Kris.